Hey squad, TitoBods here, and another day, another video for you guys. So as you can see here on your screen right now, we have Hannibal and his March. Now, this is what I call the sleeper support build of Hannibal. If you are a Hannibal user from Season 1, or maybe you have your Hannibal just hanging around the bench, and you have these heroes also here, William and DJG. Although William, I can say, is a little bit hard to get since he is an MGE hero. And as I've said, this March really is not your main priority. That's why this is a sleeper support. Why sleeper? Because not everyone knows about this whole thing here. So with Hannibal, William the Conqueror, and DJG, in here you have a very tanky support lineup that can actually help you out if you are a cavalry main. So most or some players already are using this in the arena and arena championship, and it really do well for them. To be honest, if you are already using this one, please leave a comment down below and hit me up with your experience on this build. So we have Hannibal, William, and DJG. Hannibal is from Season 1. So if you have been using Hannibal for a while, before the arrival of Lubu maybe, I think you still have your Hannibal with you. The only hero here that's going to be hard to get really is your William the Conqueror. And honestly, this is a sleeper build. There is a, substitute for William here, but I'm going to just focus on this March for now. So you have here your Hannibal with you. These are the skills I want you to get. And I want you first to understand how this March works, because not everyone does know how this March works. So for your Hannibal, we have your commander skill here. This does deal might damage. Plus the damage rate is 400% plus might bonus, and an extra strategy damage, which is another 400% plus a strategy bonus. Now, if you are going to ask me, that is a pretty damn good amount of damage, combination of might plus your strategy. Now, although this is just a single target, and this also has like increases, or this also has a bonus that increases your hero's might, your armor, and your strategy by the amount of the target commander's attributes reduced respectively for 6 seconds. What does that mean? So it doesn't have here on your commander skill any attributes that you have taken from your enemy, right? The thing here, or the key here, is your taken attributes through your signature skill or through your customizable skill. Let's focus first on your Peerless here. So this one is a secondary strike skill. After launching your normal attack, it deals 1 damage, okay? And this one is a might damage. So you have the damage rate of 370% here plus might bonus, and another one with the strategy damage. Although, as you can see later, I'm going to show you that majority of his attribute bonus is all about strategy, but he has both might and strategy when it comes to the damage and bonuses in here. And then the best part about this one is this reduces the enemy's commander's armor, which is 100 amount of armor is reduced. Plus, you have strategy bonus. How much armor does your commander now have if you're the opponent? So how much armor is that? And of course, the might damage here will affect that armor for your opponent. That's like negative armor if you're going to treat it like that. And on the other hand, you will also reduce strategy by 100 for your opponent. Now, what does this entails? You have your strategy damage here, right? Plus, you're going to steal strategy 100 from your commander. If your hero or your commander is really not a strategy hero, he is going to have a hard time, because he's going, or the opponent's going to have both might defense and strategy defense stripped out of his arsenal. So now he is vulnerable for 6 seconds. That's how strong this skill is. Although, as you can see here, this is one of the best damage, well, debuffer in the game. So you have here Peerless. It's really strong against other heroes, except one of his kryptonite is Pikeman. So this March is really vulnerable to Pikeman, but all other heroes, even against Lubu, this hero can thrive as a support. So I'm not going to say this is an explosive one, because this is a tanky sustained build. It does 2 damage, but it isn't as explosive as your Lubu. So do not be excited about that one. So you have here my chosen customizable skill is Tactical Pursuit, because we have DJG, and I'm going to explain why and how this works though. So you have here another secondary strike skill. This one is another might damage and strategy damage. You see the combination now here for your troops. Now you also have here the Crushing Impact. This is another secondary strike skill. So this one deals strategy damage to the enemy troop with a, well, decent amount of strategy damage plus strategy bonus. And the best part again of this one is another debuff. Reduces the enemy commander's might by 80 plus strategy bonus again. Now you have reduced the might of the enemy, the armor of the enemy, the strategy of the enemy. How can he attack you or damage you in the process, right? Now the thing is, you have this for 6 seconds also, which I think is going to actually be good. Even though it's 6 seconds, you can actually like have multiple crashing impact, but it will not stack. So you only need like one crashing impact for your Hannibal. Okay, so that's actually what's best about Hannibal, those types of skills. Now to actually further enhance that one, we have here the Radiant Thunder. I know not everyone is going to like this build here. This does have like commander damage, troop attack, and troop defense. This has higher troop attack and troop defense versus your Azure Moon ring, but your Azure Moon has higher damage, although it's a charging state, and the Radiant Thunder is not a charging state. Now the other good part about this one is it has a strategy bonus, same as your Azure Moon ring, but other than that, you have activation chance of a signature secondary skill addition like your Skyward Knight, but this is lower though at 2.77% for 6 seconds. Now that's still a good one to have an added thing there. Plus you have damage, so I think that's a good addition for your Radiant Thunder. Can you use here your Radiant Guardian Ring? Of course, yes, you can also use your Radiant Guardian Ring in here. Now, for example, you don't have any of those Radiant series rings. You can choose your Ring of Serpent, or most likely, you can also choose your Ring of Crow because you got strategy bonus. And I think in this March, this has the highest strategy, if I'm not mistaken. If not, you can use the Ring of Crow on the other heroes. But for me, that is actually what you need, those rings. Now, another purple ring you want to get here is Serpent. You can also use a Serpent ring or Ring of Lion. So the Ring of Lion though is limited, but it has all might, strategy, and armor. So it's also a good one for your Hannibal. Now talking about William. William is that sleeper hero that not everyone is using because it's hard to get to the MGE, and a lot of players are not really interested in William. A lot of players. I believe there's only like a handful of players using William. And I will tell you or show you how he works, because a lot of players, to be honest with you guys, a lot of players are asking, how does William the Conqueror work? So we have here his Doomsday Judgment. If your heroes have completely different signature skill types, marks those skill types. So what it means is, for example, here we have a different skill. We have turn-based skill. You have your Hannibal with your secondary strike skill. You have your DJG at your active skill. So we have 3 different skills. So we can mark 3 different skill types of heroes. The only one that we cannot mark with this is actually the Pikeman. Okay, note that one. So take note of that one. So once every 6 seconds, reduce your damage taken by your troop by 25%. That is a huge damage. And additionally reduces damage taken from skills. This is just an addition to the 25%. Damage taken from the skills of mark type. So for example, I have 3 marks already, right? For example, a Lubu attack me. I have a damage reduction extra of 25% from that specific hero or skills, secondary strike skills. So Lubu does use secondary strike skills. So I have extra 25% on top of your 25%. So you have that for 3 seconds. That's the beauty of it. Although you don't have that for the extra 3 seconds, you're going to wait again, but still, that is 50% of damage reduction plus your debuff. Remember the debuff of your Hannibal? That's why this specific march is pretty tanky. For example, you are against active skill users like the swordsman. Now that is also another mark, and you will receive damage taken from that skills with the mark ones. It's reduced again by 25%, so it's like 50%, right? Already just from that one. So same goes with your turn-based skill if you are up against turn-based heroes. So that's how it works. Now, whenever an enemy troop activates a skill of mark types, okay, so whenever an enemy hero activates a skill of mark types, an enemy hero, for example, Lubu again with the secondary strike skill, increases your hero's skill damage by 20% for 3 seconds plus strategy bonus. So if your Lubu did activate his mark type skill, secondary strike skill, your heroes, not just your William, so including Hannibal heroes, that is plural, will have skill damage increased by 20%. And to be honest, only William with the triple offensive and your Hannibal does have that skill damage. So those are the only heroes that will get the 20% extra damage plus strategy bonus. And that is for 3 seconds. This is actually just one turn, but it actually helps, you know. So you will have that 20% of damage. That is a huge thing if you're going to ask me. Now, I hope you understand how this works. So, I think you have a broad information or understanding now of how that skill works. We also have here the Crown Claim. Now, this one with the heroes, when the hero uses their signature skill, this is for William. When he uses his signature skills, other heroes' signature damage increases again, which is William. So, other heroes that has damage. So, we have Hannibal, other heroes with skill damage. And there is another additional strategy bonus, which is going to amplify the 6% further. Now, if the skill type is different from the hero signature skill, it gets an additional 6% of damage boost. Now, we are talking about this hero. If the skill type is different from this hero's signature skill, which is secondary strike skill for Hannibal, and William has a turn-based skill. So, you have additional 6% damage boost, and again, strategy bonus. That's additional 12%, plus both have different amount of strategy bonus. That is what is another good one, and that is inserted in here. Now, this stacks up to 4 times. 4 times, and this triggers 1 per second at most. So, how much damage now do you have? It doesn't really have that much, to be honest. It's not as explosive as your Lubu because of critical, but it does hurt. Believe me, I have been here. Believe me, it does hurt. Now, talking about triple offensive, I think you are already familiar with this one. So, randomly triggers one of the following effects, and it's only once every 9 seconds. So, every after 3 turns. So, number 1, either you deal might damage with might bonus, either you deal strategy with strategy bonus, and also on the last end here, which I think is one of the best, increases the damage taken by 32% for 3 seconds. So don't be confused about increased damage taken. This is not for you, this is for the opponents, because it says here, randomly triggers one of the following effects on the enemy troop. So on the enemy troop, they will have increased damage taken by 32% for 3 seconds, if that is the one that will trigger. So this is so random, pure RNG, you don't know what will trigger. So at least you have that option in there somewhere. Now, hopefully after this, you already know how William works and why he is a very good hero if you know how to work with him. Now, for the rings of William the Conqueror, you have your Tranquil Water here as my primary. Sometimes I do use other rings here that grants me huge amounts of, support. So I can use sometimes Ring of Crow in here, to be honest with you guys. Or maybe I use the Ring of Crow on DJG, but mostly I will use the Ring of Crow in here as an additional damage, reduction source. Another one that you can use maybe is the Ring of Badger, because for normal attacks, you can actually use this one. You can use the Ring of Badger or Ring of Clover. You can also use the Ring of Clover in here for more defense. Sometimes, you can use the Ring of Sage of Judgment, but I would rather use this on DJG if you have this ring here. Another one that you can actually use is the Ring of Lofty Mountain. Lofty Mountain is also a very good choice here because it does have your reduction of troop damage against Might Hero, and mostly your counters are Might Hero, which is your Pikeman Warrior. So you can actually get your damage reduction from this one. Plus, in the process, at the end of the 18 seconds, you will have here increased troops damage. So your troops damage will increase plus strategy bonus, which is good overall in the performance of this March. Now, for one of the ace of this March, DJG. Now, most of you guys already know DJG is a healer, yeah. And plus, she also gives damage reduction. So you have already 50% damage reduction from your William, and then additional damage reduction here, which is 15%, that's 65%. You can almost get to max of 75% on the damage reduction. So, you have here strategy bonus extra, so I think you can get the cap at 75%, and also increases the strategy and might of your other 2 heroes by an amount equal to 6%. So you have extra stats for your 2 other heroes. But the most important thing here is the bonus for your Hannibal. So you have that. So also this one stacks to 3 times and cannot be dispelled. So that's 6, 12, 18. 18% of DJG's stats are going to be transferred. So for me, the most important thing here is strategy. So you want your strategy when it comes to the gems for your DJG. So you want that in there. Also, of course, the talents. You want that one in there. Sometimes in the talents of DJG, what I do is might plus strategy. I focus on might, both might and strategy, so that you can have that extra for your Hannibal. So then this next one is one of, for me, an important part of this March, the strengthening fortification. What does this do? Okay, when your commander uses a signature skill, their customizable skill, which we have two customizable skills, okay, damage increase by 6%. So your damage for your customizable skills increases when your commander uses their signature skill. Now, when they uses their customizable skills in the latter, the activation chance of your signature skills now, your signature skill, increase by 2%. This also stacks to 4 times. So it works for active and secondary strike skill, and your hero is a secondary strike skill user, all of his skills. So you have 6, 12, 18, 24% of damage increase, and then you also have here another 8% of activation for your signature skill. Plus the Ring of Thunder has 2%, or the Ring of Guardian, Ring of Radiant Guardian also have that. So you have a huge amount of, you know, activations plus damage in the process. Plus you have 20% of damage reduction. When you hit this, all of the damage reduction is at 75% cap. I think you can, if there is really a cap of 75%. But if you count it all, you will have more than just 75% of damage reduction. It's not going to be always though, but you still have maxed out that cap. So that's just on the skills. Now, I really like adding additional healing. So Ring of Falcon for me can help this one with the survivability more. If you don't have the Ring of Falcon, you can use a Ring of Judgment in the process. And really, if you are in the lows of the lows when it comes to rings, use your Ring of Lily. Ring of Lily can help you out because it also has heal. It can help with that one. So yeah, those are the rings you want really to be in here. Or, as I've said, if not, you can use the Ring of Crow. So those are the rings that you really want in this March. So hopefully you do have a picture already on your mind on how this March works and how this March is pretty important. You know what? If I was a Kraken, I would have this March as one of my support March, because this really helps your March a lot. You just really need to, you know, stay out of the way of pikemen. But really, this March is freaking awesome, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, I think this is not a primary focus for players of like low spenders or free to play or even mid spenders. This is not on their arsenal for sure. The players that can afford this, really, to be honest with you guys, are spenders. But you know, some players, some low spenders players, especially cavalry mains, can actually do afford this one, but in a way wherein they don't have to actually invest a lot in the process. So yeah, so this is actually good sleeper support. So this is a little bit under the nose of a lot of players. So just a handful of players, as I've said, is actually using this March. Now, what do we want on the gems? So for the gems, I want you guys to have just, you know, health here, then here strategy, secondary strike skill gems, and then combination here with a defense. So defense plus combinations of strategy and secondary strike skill. Now for your William, you can do here another health. And then you can do here your strategy. So, or if not strategy, all attributes, because you know you need those stats for the skills that you can provide in here. So if not strategy, you can go for all attributes. So for the armor here, the one thing I think that you want to do is to get your hands on normal attack, because this is going to be pretty tanky, so you need extra normal attack damage in there. So you can actually use the normal attacks here. And then on the shoes, you can do combinations of the two here with your all attributes and your normal attack. Oh, plus you can add in here some armor if you want to, or you can also add here another defense ring, a defense gem, or one attack gem. So that's what you can do. Now for your DJG, what you want is 4 troop capacity. So you already have like 6 health, right? 6 health plus 1 attack and 1 defense, or 2 defense. Then you have here 4 troop capacity, 3 here, 1 here on the shoes. And then of course you will put here the strategy gems for your DJG, and on the armor 100% healing gems, plus here another healing gem, another strategy, and another troop capacity, as I've said. So those are the gems that you want for this entire troop. Now for the mounts, this is another case of an Army Sunder. So Army Sunder for me is the best one for your Hannibal or Dustbane. So Dustbane though is just for solo field battles, but solo world battles. But for me, either Dustbane or Sunder. If you're not going to use this in a rally, just go for Sunder or Dustbane, so that you can cover all the damage that you will do. Go Sunder or Dustbane. Now for your other two heroes, all I want you to get is for your DJG first. You want your you want to increase your healing. So either you want renewal which increases your healing. That's number 1. Do you still need Lifesaver? I don't think so, because you have a lot of damage reduction already. You can use Healing Armor instead. So Healing Armor or Renewal or both would be pretty awesome. So those are what you need for your DJG. Now for your William, you can use Healing Armor, because Healing Armor will have your heroes here. Your troops receive healing effects increase for each of the heroes, so 3 heroes, which is, for example, this is just 2% right now, so it's times 3, it's 6% extra healing for your whole troop. So that's how it works. So you also want this one. To be honest, that's my priority here, to be honest with you guys. Now, last but not the least, we are going to talk about your adornments. So we have Unyielding Iron for your Hannibal, which is, I think, pretty important. So for your adornment skill, Shadow Chaser is a good option, to be honest with you guys. For your Hannibal, this is a good option. So one of the things here is a Victory. I think Victory works like, for example, you have, this will only activate once you have that commander skill or strategy. Once you have your strategy higher than the opponents, I think that's the time when this activates. But this really works good. Although it's just for 3 seconds, you still have that damage though. So I think this is still a pretty viable one. So another one that you can do is the Cloud Piercer. So this is good even if you are being swarmed though. So this is another good one if you are just against one player. Even if you are being swarmed though, the only downside of this one is you will have less damage to the other troops, but this one is also a viable adornment effects for your Hannibal. So I think that's what is viable for me for your Hannibal. You can use your Loan of Valor, but I think this is not my primary option. Now talking about your other 2 heroes, Sacred Lily is what I want you guys to get. Then of course, most of them for sure are going to use 2 resistance. So I think 1 resistance for me is enough. I think 1 resistance for me is going to be enough to actually counteract a little bit more damage, but you don't really need 2 resistance anymore in this build. So I think Rally is going to be another good one here. If you have Rally, you can use this one on your DJG, so that your Hannibal can get that amount of damage with 2 stacks. Plus, sometimes, you know, your William can do the damage through his triple offensive, so it can actually also work that way. So this is another one that you can actually use. You can also technically use a Victory, for example, on a hero like William or DJG, whoever has higher strategy. Once your Hannibal takes like the armor, let's say the strategy of your heroes or your opponent's heroes or your commander, you can actually get the buffs from the Victory. So that's what I think from the Victory here. So yeah, I think we have like limited options when it comes to the adornments, but those are the adornments that I think would really help out this March. Also, you can use Loan of Valor, not just for your Hannibal himself, but the other 2 heroes if you want to. But as I've said, this is not a priority. So I think that's about it for this March here. Hopefully you have learned something about this March. For those of you guys who are just learning about this March and how it works, please leave a comment down below. And also, if you have been using this for a while now and you have a different setup or a different lineup that you want me to explore also and share with the group or with the squad, kindly leave your comments down below. If you have also recommendations about this one, I want to know your thoughts, your opinions, and your recommendations. And if you want more deep dive into these kinds of guides, kindly click on the video that appears on your screen right now. And as always, squad, have a great day to everyone. This is your TitoBods, and I will see you in the next one.